Okay, hello everybody. You're welcome to our channel after a long time, Logs and Chronicles, and it's your girl, Upsy Daisy.
Upsy Daisy, the woman's son.
Oh, it's not Upsy Daisy, sorry. Upsy baby. Yeah, it's been a long time, that's why. And I'm here again with her on this channel. I'm happy to be here today. So you're welcome. As always, thank you. Are you laughing?
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thanks
So this is Mr. O, my lover, my husband, my sugar, my honey, my everything. But this man has not been coming to our channel. Well, to be fair, he has been very busy, but I think he lost steam or interest at some point.
That's not true.
But I kept telling him that you guys keep asking after him. So he's here today. So please welcome Mr. O. I'm so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me.
And as a matter of fact, you're welcome. As a matter of fact, today's topic, we were having a chat. We were just discussing it together. You know, and because I've been saying that, I have lost steam and motivation for, you know, videos and editing and everything. And I've also been blaming him that he has not been motivating me enough. You know, like he used to be behind the cameras and everything. That what happened? And today's topic, it was actually the one who motivated me to bring it to you guys. And he did say that he feels that it will bless someone. And we were talking about the power of storytelling. And, you know, we were discussing about the reason I started YouTube or even being on social media in the first place. It was born out of telling my stories, bringing you through my chronicles as a migrant in the UK, originally from Nigeria. And I didn't have, at the time when I started, I didn't have many people with stories that I could really relate to. And I needed, you know, people who I could also look up to. And I feel like me sharing my stories, you know, when I started was going to be helpful. And in these years that we've been on YouTube, we've had lots and lots of testimonies of people that have been blessed by our stories and by me coming to share things and by the things that we have shared on this channel. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful to God for using us as vessels of honor. So we went back to that and we said we're not going to forget that, and we're going to keep on doing that. So today's topic, actually, what do we call today's topic?
How to deal with your employer when you are stopped from working because you have a pending application with the Home Office.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in a nutshell.
That's summary of what we're going to be talking about. And this is going to be the first of many of this kind of, shall I say, series?
Yeah.
Because we have gone through so much. We have been in the UK. I think it will be about 18 to 19 years that we have been in the UK.
Yeah.
Yes, and we do have lots of stories to share as migrants and things that we have gone through. So today's story, even though it's my story, but my husband was a big part of it. So I think it's a good thing that you are here to share this story with me.
Yeah.
And before I continue, this is Locks and Chronicles, and I talk social work. I do showcase my locks, and I take you through my chronicles as a migrant in the UK, originally from Nigeria. And sometimes I do that with my lovely husband, with my family, although I do have a daughter that does not come up on social media. So yes, this is what we do on this channel. And if this is something that you're interested in, please click the subscribe button and like this video already, because it is going to be awesome. And do share it with your friends. Leave a comment to encourage us, and just do all the nice stuff. Okay. And yeah, so this story, this happened in 2008. 2008. Yes, 2008. Yes, I was 8 months pregnant, and I had just started uni. I started uni in September. I was going to have my baby in January of the following year. That's January 2009. So I was heavily pregnant. When I started uni, I was about 28 weeks pregnant. So when this happened, I was about 8 months pregnant. I think it was around November, December time. So what happened was the visa that we had, I was on, a spouse, depending on my husband in the UK. Is that how you say it? Okay. So, and what happened was the visa was going to expire. But my husband is always very on top of all these kind of things, and he doesn't waste time. And so the application had been made before the expiration of the visa. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, it was an in-time application. Still like more than 28 days before the expiry of the visa was when we put in the renewal application. But as we all know, that Home Office they don't approve applications in time. They take their time. So most of the time, the visa will run out before Home Office will approve the renewal. Even though by the time they're approving, they will backdate the approval so that you won't be out of date for any reason. So that was what happened in the case of that particular application. It's all putting the application in time, but Home Office delayed, and then it became a problem with the employer. So I think you can carry it from there.
Okay, yes, but for my employer, which was the local authority I was working with then, I was a support worker at that time. All they knew was that my visa was coming to an end, and there was no other paper to show them, because then things were not online as it is now. There was nothing to show them. Yes, and they would it would be like you present it in work, and the Home Office had not acknowledged the application, and they had not even sent us any letter. So there was nothing to show them that the application was made in time. But I did tell them, and it was meant to be their responsibility. Was it their responsibility? Could they have written to the Home Office?
Yeah, I think at that time most organizations were just so fearful of the Home Office. They don't really understand the dynamics of immigrants and extension applications. So to them, once your visa runs out, they don't want to engage with the Home Office. They don't want to engage with you. They just want you out of the system once your visa runs out. Meanwhile, there's something called Section 3C leave, which protects you when you have an application with the Home Office, or when you have a pending appeal. If your application has been unsuccessful and you now have a right of appeal to make an appeal on it, Section 3C leave protects you, gives you the same right that you had when you had visa, when your visa had not run out, or when you've not made any application, or when your application has not. When your visa has not run out, so that when the application is pending or the appeal is pending, you are still protected. You are not illegal. You are not an overstayer. But most employers, they are not aware. They don't have that time. I won't say they don't. They didn't have a robust. They didn't used to have a robust legal department that understand the dynamics. So for them, they just wanted to play safe. Once your visa is out of date or your visa expires, they want you out of the organization, and that's what happened to Mrs. O.
Yeah. So, but I think we did show them the payments that we made. I did show them the receipt of the payment we made for the visa to the Home Office. But this was not. They were not having it. They were not accepting of this proof as the fact that I could still hold my employment. So
I think what they were afraid of mostly was the fine that Home Office levies on employers who employ migrants or immigrants whose paper are out or whose paper have expired. So they would rather just not engage, allow it, instead of calming down to see, okay, we can do employers check. They can actually check that time, but they didn't want to go through that
Yeah.
process or that trouble. They just
Yeah.
want to see you bring a
It was nothing to them stopping you from working. Like it wasn't. They didn't really know the troubles that we go through. You know, people that would not be able to claim benefits if you were out of work or what would happen. You know, and at that time I think you were traveling a bit and you were not
was going up and down.
on ground with me. So it was a very traumatic experience. So what happened was my employment was terminated, like just unceremoniously. It was just terminated and I was asked to stop coming to work because of this visa situation. And no matter the explanation that I had tried to give, I was just asked to stop coming to work. And to be very honest with you, at that time I was still new in the UK. I didn't have as much skill set and this wealth of knowledge that I now have. And even then, I'm not so much of an immigration guru. I think you are the immigration expert. So it was more like me accepting my fate at first, even though that's not normally who I am, if I feel like there is injustice. But maybe I didn't really understand the system as well. So when my work was stopped, I think I stayed home for a couple of weeks. And then, no,
When your work was stopped,
yeah,
I think 3 days after your work was stopped, the
yes,
visa came back from the Home Office.
it's true. Yes, it came back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And you took it to work and they said they have already
No.
terminated you.
yeah.
They weren't taking you back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so it was like maybe I was stopped, and then some days later it came through the post, and the visa was already approved. And so, just as Mr. O said, I took it back to them, but they said no, that it was too late because my employment was already terminated. I think that was when I started getting a bit angry, like, no, you stopped my employment because of this, and now I have this.
Yeah.
Why is it that you cannot have me back? It's only like a few days. And look, they even backdated it, and there is no gap at all on the visa. So what is the issue? Why can't you have me back? If I am that disposable to you, then I wonder why, you know. And that was when I started to ask questions, but it's not like I really knew what exactly to do. And you were telling me about this section 3C and everything, but I didn't know what to do, and I was heavily pregnant, and at that time I was on my own. So this is when we're talking about why we must continue to share the stories and why testimonies are powerful.
Yeah.
So I went to church. It wasn't even exactly at this period, but sometime before then, I'd gone to church, and a sister was sharing a testimony about an employer who had done something unjust to her, and you know, she wanted to fight back, or she wanted to advocate for herself. And so the first thing that she did was she brought out her contract of employment and her written statement of particulars, which I had all of those, but I never even paid attention to them. But somehow when I was having this issue, it clicked to me, and it came back to me that, come on, what's in my contract of employment? What is even written statement of particulars? I didn't even know that I had them. So I started searching the house and everything, and I brought them out, and I started looking at them. And in there I saw that except that you've done something terrible, like something worth disciplinary action or like a crime, the employer is not meant to just terminate your employment unceremoniously without giving you at least 1 month's notice.
Except you've done something worthy of summary dismissal, which was not the case.
What I did, yeah. As a matter of fact, I was a very hard worker, you know. So I then thought, if I had been given this 1 month's notice, it would have been enough time for the visa to have been received back,
to come back,
and you wouldn't have had to sack me, basically. So I wasn't given that notice, and so that was what I started to project. Like, you guys did not give me notice, And now you're saying you're not taking me back. So what happened after then, Kay?
Then you now wrote a letter to the HR department as a first, like a pre-action protocol. That's what I would call it.
Okay. What is
Like-
the reaction protocol?
Like giving them an opportunity to look at the case again. Otherwise, you'll be taking them to an employment tribunal. That's what you
I
said.
don't think I knew about the employment tribunal. I think you were the one who told me about it. You want your
Yeah.
drink?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think you were the one who told me about it. Anyway, I wrote this letter, like very legal and very standard letter. I don't know where, maybe I got a template from somewhere. But I did, I sent the letter to you and you approved of it. You said it was good. But another thing that I also did was I started to look into, you know, when you have difficulty with your employer, what do you do? And that was how I got directed to Citizens Advice Bureau. Yeah, I got directed to them. So there was going to be a waiting list, but I made an appointment that I was going to go there. And so when I sent HR this letter that I said I wrote, there was no action, there was no response. They were not going to engage with me. It was still a solid no. And so what I did was I rang them again. And at this time I was being like ignored a lot. I would call, I would not even be able to speak to anyone important. You know, receptionists would just say no, you can't talk to anybody because I was no longer an employee. So on this day when I called, this lady was going to again ignore my call or just tell me that it was not possible. And then I said it was very important for me to talk to the HR manager because I have sent a letter. I have not heard anything about the letter and I am about to take legal action. Those were kind of my words that I said then. And so they said, hold the line, and they went to get this HR manager for me. Or maybe they asked her to call me back. Something like that.
I think she called you.
She called me back. And so when they called me back, and then she said, oh, that she received my message that I was going to take legal action. And I said yes, even though at this time I was not taking, I had not gone to see any solicitor or any lawyer. But I did say yes, I am thinking of taking legal action and my lawyer is going to write to you. My solicitor is going to write to you. But before then, I myself, I have already written a letter to you. And just in case you have not seen it, I've got the letter here. Do you want to hear about the content? And, you know, in her very nonchalant manner, she said something like, go on then. And I started to read the letter. And in my letter, I had explained everything that we have been narrating. But I also said that I feel, you know, you are discriminating against me because I am pregnant. I am useless. You feel that you can just do away with me easily. And that is a form of discrimination. And that I wondered if you would have done the same thing to me if I was not pregnant. And I think she stopped in her tracks. Was that the only point? I think I also made a point of saying that I'd done nothing wrong.
Yeah, you know, you've not done anything wrong. You were terminated because your visa, they thought your visa expired, and then when Home Office responded, it was even backdated, such that you were not out of visa for any single day. So there was no basis whatsoever
for the termination.
For them to terminate you.
Yeah.
Those were the things you told them.
Yes, I did. So, yeah, she listened. And then she said, leave it with me. You know, I'm going to look into it. I'm going to call you back. I'm going to speak to your manager and all of that, but leave it with me. And so at least I got her attention. And I think there was something else I was going to mention. If it comes back to me, I will go back to it. What I remember now is that I also referred that HR manager to the contract of employment and the statement of particulars saying that they were not supposed to terminate my appointment unceremoniously and that they were supposed to give me some notice.
1 month
notice. And that if they had given me that notice and they had done what they were supposed to do, then my employment would not have been terminated at all. But I didn't stop there. I still went ahead to try and see someone in Citizens Advice Bureau. And once I was on the queue there, on another day, I was there. I got up early in the morning and I was on the queue. I got a call from my manager's manager. And she said, oh, that she didn't know what buttons I had pushed or what I had done, but I could come back and have my job. Oh, and I was like, I'm even here at where I'm about to seek legal advice. So are you sure of what you are saying? Because I'm just about to see my advisor and everything. And she said 100% they would be sending me a letter. And that even though they terminated my employment, they themselves were going to backdate it so that there would be no gap in my
employment.
in my employment in the time that I had been with them.
They gave you those days like leave or something.
Yes.
They converted those days that you went working
to leave, annual leave, so that I could be back paid for those times. That was how I got my job back. I got paid for all the times that I was off. I got a good apology from my manager and from my manager's manager and from HR. And I had a job to go back to after my maternity leave. Yes, obviously, all glory, is God's. But it just shows the power of when someone shares something that inspires you. And I was greatly inspired by this sister's story. And that sister, when I met her later and I was telling her about her testimony and how it had helped me, she didn't even remember that she said anything inspiring or powerful, which was amazing. So yes, that was how, I think that was our first big immigration blow.
That's your first big
That's my
I've had a lot of blows. Those are stories for another day.
Well, yes, you do have some interesting stories. I hope that you would come and tell them, even the one that started before you even started living in this country and you'd first visited. Yes, Mr. O he has some interesting stories to share. Okay, so that's today's story. We do have a lot more, so follow for more. I think relating to this story, I had another experience like this again, like a repeat performance. After this visa they gave me expired again, and they tried to stop me again from working. And then what happened? I think you had to intervene.
Yeah, that was another renewal application for which we made appearance at public inquiry office. We didn't do a postal application for that one. But as usual, Home Office will not give you acknowledgement, and then they will take their time to decide the application. In fact, this particular application took a very long time before they decided it. And then the employer started to worry again. But this time around, they were more tactful. I think they've been advised. So they were not as harsh as aggressive as the first time. Although they were, worrying, they were asking questions.
Yeah.
And then we had to.
And they still stopped another person in my place of work. They stopped the person because of the same issue, even after mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that occasion, we had to write to the Home Office to let them know that our employers are asking questions and they've not decided the application. Can they do something? So in that regard, the Home Office directly call your employer Yeah, they call the HR of the local authority to let them know that you have an application pending, and then I think they sent them a letter too, and they copied us just to let them know that yeah, there's an application, and then you should have your job until the application is decided.
Yeah.
So that's what happened on that occasion.
Yeah, and at that time I was having, maybe what shall I call it, PTSD from what happened from what happened before, because I genuinely thought I was going to lose my job again this time, because there was a lot of concerns being raised by my employer then. So yeah, I think it was later that the Home Office then made it possible for employers to be able to check every 6 months online whether someone had a pending application that was in time, and the employer would then be able to check. But at this time, it was just really difficult to
I think it's been there, but most employers, they
were not doing it.
They were just so afraid of the Home Office. They didn't want to engage. They didn't want to be bothered by that. But I think they
didn't want to be bothered.
Yeah, but as time went on, they
became more informed.
Yeah, they became more informed. They got a more robust legal department that look into all those things. And
yeah, because certainly for me, later on, because I was with the same employer for about 12 years or 10 years in different roles and capacities, and so it got better, and they would always be able to check and just come back to me every 6 months and let me know if the application was taking long. But what's the moral of the story, or what are the morals of the story? First of all, that it is very important for us to be sharing the things that we go through, especially as migrants. I think the people in positions of privilege may not really understand our travails, so it's very important that we encourage ourselves by keeping our stories alive and sharing these stories to encourage one another. And when we do tell these stories, to go back to the people who tell you the stories that are useful or helpful to you, to let them know that actually that was useful, so that they can be inspired to even share more and be more open about their experiences. I think another moral for me is that the fact that we are migrants here and we go through so much to get to where we are, where our counterparts born in this country may not necessarily, understand our experiences or what it takes us. And I just feel, let me just put it out there, it's a form of racism and discrimination as well. When it's easier for you to just stop someone's daily bread and to take it off instead of doing a bit of work just to make sure that you can help them. When you understand that these sets of people actually are entitled to nothing in terms of benefits or welfare support, and you just do a bit more to help them, and the fact that we are migrants does not make us less of humans. We are just meant to treat each other as humans, which is not always the case. And so for ourselves, we need to build a community that we make sure that we can support one another when someone is going through a hard time. Now I can see that this is a very long video, but I hope that it has been worth it. Is there any other moral that you want to pick up?
So we can challenge the system.
Yes.
If we get our facts right. It's not everything they throw at us that will just take hook, line and sinker and get helpless. So we should always be prepared to look for a way to challenge, especially when we are within our rights to do so.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for always, because I think there are some things that I'm just not good at, but you are very good at these kind of things, and you will just always guide me and just like...
Good at many things.
Yes, I'm good at many things, I know, but there are things that I am not good at, and I think that's where you always come in, and you have a wealth of knowledge that is always very handy in this kind of situations. And our immigration journey is a long one. Obviously now we are settled, and we give all the glory to God, but it took us long to get there, but we just thank God for everything, because it just made us stronger. And so this is the story for today, and yes, there will be many more stories. Immediately after this video, we will be Now that I've got Mr. O sitting here, I'm going to have another video today, and it's going to be about how we got our children into grammar school and private school. So if you're interested in that, so just make sure that you stay here and that you are here for that video, because it's going to be really inspiring and impactful. But for this video, this is the end. Make sure that you subscribe, you like, leave a comment, share it, and all the good stuff. And say thank you to my darling husband for coming on today and appreciating. Yes, I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, till I come your way next time, always remember that, you know what I always say at the end?
I love you.
I really do love you. Wow. Bye.